Hello, I am Nicole Ingram, Director of Programs and Special Initiatives for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Welcome to Women in Leadership. As a prelude to our virtual luncheon, we have created an opportunity to learn more about the legacy and leadership of Dr. Hope Businius and her family. Today, we are joined by Dr. Hope Businius, Dr. Angie Haynes, and Abrielle Businius, nursing student at the Nell Hodgson Woodruff School of Nursing. Together, they represent three generations steeped in education, leadership, and service at Emory University. As we enter this virtual space together, may we create a sense of community that celebrates the diverse tapestry of our identities, experiences, and cultures. Please enjoy this conversation on legacy and leadership. Hope, Angie, and Abrielle, thank you for sharing a piece of you with us.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Dr. Henderson, and thank you for everybody in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We are here today to celebrate legacy, and it all started with my mother and Angie's mother. Obviously, we're sisters, and my daughter, Abrielle. And our mother's name was Twilla Haynes. She recently passed due to COVID. So this is an honor to be able to do this and to share with you all today. So we were just going to start and talk a little bit about how it all began and where we are today and look in the future moving forward. So Abrielle, would you like to start and share a little bit with us?
Hi, okay, my name's Abrielle. I'm a first semester nursing student, so I just started and it's going well. So far, so good. And obviously Gigi's my aunt. I call her Gigi and it's my mom.
So Abrielle, what do you think when we talk about legacy? And now that you're with us in the School of Nursing, and you've been with nurses your whole life, and it all started with Omar. We call, by the way, we call Mom Omar as well. So tell us a little bit about what you view as legacy and what it's been like for you to be a part of this family and to be here at Emory at this time being in the nursing program.
Okay, so I definitely think our family is very unique just because a lot of my friends and a lot of the other people in my cohort, they may have one or two nurses in their family, but it's very rare to have 3-4 generations of nurses. And that's very unique, and that's something I'm coming to really appreciate about the family. But for me, coming into nursing it was an option, but it was, very heavily enforced by everyone. But it was my decision. But it was a mixture of all three of them. It wasn't just one of them that made me want to do nursing, because they're all fantastic nurses and they all have something different to bring to the table, and they all have a very different way of going about nursing. And I think that my decision into coming into nursing came a lot from all three of them, because there were things I would see my mom do that were really moving to me, or there were things I would see my aunt do or Omar. And it all kind of came into play about, because I would always want to be like them, but they would do different things. So it's like, I want to be like this about my mom, or I want to be like this about my grandma. So that's where I think legacy is very interesting in the family, is just that I got to, from my perspective, I got to pull from all three of them and see all the different things that they've gotten to do in their careers.
And can you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you in growing up as being a part of this family, and the work that we have done in Haiti, and what Omar started in Haiti as a legacy here at Emory, as being an Emory Award alumni. 2010, she was selected, and we celebrated that with her. You were 10 years old at that time. Tell us a little bit about what it's been like for you in doing our work in Haiti, and now that you're in the nursing program.
Okay. So I didn't always want to be a nurse, and a lot of that was because I did see a lot of what they were doing, and a big part of that was, oh, I don't know if that's what I want to go through too. But yeah, the first time I remember going to Haiti, because I went when I was a baby, but the first time I remember going, I was 10, and I kind of got thrown into it by all three of them. That we hit the ground running. There was very little time to adjust, but it was great. But that was not, I left kind of hesitant about medicine to begin with, but I do remember there, every time I would go back, I'd get a little bit more comfortable with it. And then I remember there was one time when I was 14, probably, so I was a freshman in high school, and we were at a clinic, and I went up to Omar, and she was doing the whole hustle and bustle. She was ordering everybody around. She had a whole line of patients she was taking care of, and she was busy. And I just went up to her and I just sat down next to her because I was very overwhelmed at the time. And I just sat down with her, and she just stepped aside with me. And I just told her, I don't feel like I'm really getting to do anything. I feel kind of useless because there's all these people that need help, and I can't really offer anything for them. And she was always a big person to emphasize opportunity and doing the little things and how much the little things matter. And she was very insistent with me on making sure that I understood that I always had something that I could do, and that every little thing I was doing was helping them out and was beneficial to them. And that was really kind of the moment I decided that I wanted to be a nurse, because I realized that meant that being a nurse you didn't have to do this big thing. It didn't have to be a large scale thing, even though that's what she had done. It's about the little things that you can do as a nurse, and that's really important, and about using the opportunities that you're given, even if they're small, and making the most of them.
That's great. I know that she'd be so happy to hear that, and so proud of you. And what are you thinking about? You're going to be graduating very soon. So what are you thinking about as far as your next steps and your work? And do you have any hopes and aspirations to continue in Haiti? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, and being able to continue what Omar started?
Well, the main thing for me was always, when I decided to do nursing, was going back to Haiti. And I even had a conversation with her earlier this year about how the main reason that I was doing this was so that I could continue on what's been going on, because you guys have done a great job, but no one out of all my cousins is really thinking about medicine. So I was like, well, no one else is going to continue this, so I'll take it on. That'll be fun. But yeah, that was my main goal with nursing, is being able to continue on what she's been doing. And I would love to explore different areas, but that's my main goal, is to not only continue on what she started, but to make it better and to grow it, and to kind of create a legacy for my kids too. So this is not something that just even stops with me, or bringing in other people into the mix, because it is very family centered right now. So any of my nursing friends who may be called to do anything similar, so kind of expanding it. But that's where I see myself in 5 years, is continuing on, hopefully graduated, hopefully pass the NCLEX, and continuing what we've been working on for so long.
That's great. And Abe, one last question. If you could tell us a little bit about what it's been like for you to be a part of this family and to be a part of Emory, and where you have been as part of the culturally. You've done a lot of volunteer work with the homeless here in Atlanta when you were very young. You also have walked in the footsteps of your mother, your aunt, your grandmother in trying to find a foundation to explore what you think nursing looks like. Culturally, how does that look for you now with your generation, and what your thoughts are for your next steps?
So thinking about Emory and the family, they kind of go hand in hand just because we do have so many Emory nurses. So, but getting to experience Emory nursing from both sides, seeing, you guys as faculty and as Emory nurses, and now getting to be in the program too and seeing that side has been very interesting to me, because I feel like I have like a full scope about what this is all really about. But one of the great parts about both the family and Emory nursing is how much diversity there is within the getting to explore like the nursing practice, because there's so many opportunities within the program to be able to go into different communities, and because a lot of the experiences I had, like you were saying, with the homeless in Atlanta, that was with Emory nursing students, and they were much older than me, but you had your students with you, and I was getting to tag along. And a lot of times in Haiti, we also had Emory nursing students with us. So that's really one of the great parts about the program and about Emory nursing, is that you do get to hit all the populations, and you get to experience a lot of different things, both abroad and here.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share, or anything, last thoughts before I move on to your aunt?
Sure. Just thank you for everybody who's been so supportive during this time with Omar, and for letting us celebrate all that she's done, because it is something to celebrate, and it's something we're, very proud to be a part of. But getting to speak specifically on her and getting to share some things about her has been really great. So just a thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay. And Angie, I also call her G. So if I mess up and do that, y'all know it's all in the same one person. So I'm going to start with the same question. What does legacy mean to you? And, with the recent passing of our mother, and how we all began in this profession, watching her for years and being a part of Emory, what does it look like for you?
I think it's really interesting when we talk about legacy, and listening to Abrielle talk about her pathway and how she came into things. And, it's a difficult time to have conversations, as we're still grieving the very recent loss of our mom, who really is the foundational piece that binds all of us together. And so when I think back about Emory, and as Abrielle said, nursing being so entwined, I recall early days of being in junior high. It was middle school then. And our mom would be on campus studying, and she would, pull us along with her, and we would go to what then was the law library, and kind of slip in there and study, because it was quieter than some of the other areas on campus. And so she would have us there. I remember Sundays after church, we would all traipse down to Emory and go to the library and study all day. And it felt like home early, before we even recognized that. And then later we all graduated over to the health sciences library, and thought we had really arrived when we could go in and slide her card in and be part of what was happening on campus. And so I was resistant to nursing. initially, just for the very reasons that not only was my mom a nurse, my aunt was a nurse. Our tradition seems to be very heavily rooted in caring for others and service. And we learned that from our grandmother. And coming from a culture of poverty with limited resources and struggling to get by, we learned a lot from them, what it meant to work really hard, pool resources, and then always strive to be the very best that you can, no matter what it is that you're suffering through. And so to me, those are like the foundational tenets of legacy, is what you've seen others go through ahead of you, how they've struggled, the hardships, and the things that they've endured to make sure that you're very successful. Education was always an expectation for us. And despite resources or lack of resources, we were not ever allowed to use it as a barrier. And so when we look at where's the best, we knew that Emory was the best. And so I started out in public health, and that was my passion in serving communities. But as we've all addressed, going to Haiti kind of changed things for me a bit, because I needed more of a hands-on approach as opposed to looking at population issues and community. I wanted to actually reach out to that starving infant and be able to make a difference. And so I did come back to Emory intentionally. It's the only nursing school I applied to. I just knew that was the only place I was going to go, no matter how long it took and what that meant. I came back later. And so it wasn't an easy journey necessarily to go through those pathways. I tell students all the time, I didn't learn how to study until my second semester of nursing school, and I already had multiple degrees. And so nursing for me was a seamless transition, but it was not an easy transition. And so, obviously we continued. And when we graduated, you and I both chose to come back to Emory on purpose to teach, because part of the legacy wasn't just the foundation that our mother instilled in us. It was the foundation of Emory in service and giving back. And as much as I'm passionate about patient care, the opportunity to come back and support the development of future nurses in this shared profession with an excellent foundation is kind of where our commitment is. And that's because of the role model that we've always had. We were always told, you can do anything. It may not be easy, but you're capable. And you just have to go fight for it. And so I feel incredibly blessed to be a part of the Emory family. I can say, even talking about legacy, we've had such a generous outpouring of love and support in ways that I just never envisioned from our Emory family, and in the recent months. And to have that sense of community, to me, is what I share with students all the time when they talk about, why do I want to come to Emory as opposed to other places? And it really is about that community, that pride, that shared spirit of our potential and who we can become, and an environment that's going to nurture that. So, and for us, it's nursing. But as you walk across campus, there are so many avenues and so many areas where that passion is just living out the lives of so many in so many different areas. And so to be a part of such a vibrant community as a member of that community is probably the best gift for me of the legacy of our mom. And so to see Abrielle stepping into this next phase, it's a little disappointing not to be on campus right now. And to hear her stories, because I'd like to be upstairs in my office and have her just stop in and tell me about her clinical day or what happened in the simulation lab. But just like other students throughout the country, we're moving forward, and our story's different now. No one expected COVID to impact us in the way personally that it's impacted our family, but it's an opportunity for us to take that and move it forward in the type of care that we deliver to. So that's my long answer.
It's a great answer. And could you just share a little bit about our time with Mom, and she being the first Native American from the Lumbee tribe, and us all being tribal members of the Lumbee tribe, and watching Mom over the years in the sacrifice from where she started, and the stories of her, being under her bed and trying to read by candlelight, and just getting to go to school was just such a blessing during her time, because she would have to stay home and work on the farm. And what was it like for you, and being able to move forward into coming to Emory and watching our mom be so successful here at Emory, and then being able to continue this legacy here at the School of Nursing?
I think what you touch on is something that I was cognizant of years ago, but much more mindful over the last few months, because the stories that we have heard over and over and over from students and colleagues and those that were with our mom, whom we often call Twilla. That's how we would get her attention. If we said Mom, she kind of kept moving, but if we said Twilla, she wasn't sure if it was a student or not, so she had to respond. So we learned that trick early in Haiti. But the stories from her classmates, the stories that we heard at her funeral, in just how she continually sacrificed so that her siblings could go to school. She drove a bus as part of her give back so that her younger brothers could attend school, that they would often have to miss class during certain seasons of the year, particularly if it was cotton season, if they were picking cotton, or if they were out working tobacco. And I remember all the years in our childhood that we would spend summers and learn more about our Indian heritage, learn more about our family members, and just be completely ingrained in those communities and those cultures, and going to churches with our tribal members and participating in tribal events and understanding more what it meant, despite what the world sees as a norm, actually experiencing and learning those stories firsthand about, going to even water fountains and not being sure which water fountain you could go to as an Indigenous individual, even in your own community, that had been there for generations, or even looking at her pictures that we used to talk about from elementary and middle school, and that it would said on the side of the picture, Indian Normal School. We weren't even sure what Indian Normal School meant, but they would talk about competing in sports against other teams and places that they could go, places that they couldn't go. And so learning about those things early and walking through those areas reinforces to me why education was such just a critical component of our mom's foundation, and that it would open doors to anything. And I think that's why she fought so hard to come to Emory, and she fought so hard for us to be at Emory. And she knew that once you could open those doors and had such a solid foundation, that your aspirations could be unlimited. And so, as every year we would, as long as our grandmother was alive, we would go regularly. But after she died, we would have intermittent trips home to our tribal heritage roots, and actually had spent time at our tribal location with Mom just as recently as late June, early July. So I think that you have a spirit of appreciation for the sacrifices of those that have gone before us. And in these telling times of such angst and less than gentle treatment for one another, we can kind of draw back on the things that unite us all. And that's many of us have come from places of struggle, and to focus on the things that we have in common, as opposed to some of the things that tear us apart, which it really goes back to legacy of, I tell students frequently, who gets to live this life? Who gets to wake up as a nursing professional and teach students and kind of share your passion with them. Go to a practice setting and take care of sick and vulnerable patients, and then, get on a plane and go to one of the most poverty-ridden regions of the world and take care of people that can never pay you back, and offer to them the very best that you have. And so that's the legacy. And I guess in the midst of grieving, I am grieving for the loss of what we don't have today, but I'm so appreciative of those sacrifices that give us just this amazing experience to reach out and touch others. And I really grieve for those who've never had those opportunities, because honestly, who gets to live this kind of life? Who gets to wake up and do these things? And so to have Abrielle move with the next generation, I think how excited and enthusiastic and overwhelmed your Omar would be at your chosen passion, no matter if you think we were all twisting your arm or not. You'll thank us.
Indeed. I know you're already thanking us, right? Thank you, Ange. That was great. I think in closing, the one thing that I would like to share is when we, growing up, it was a legacy of education. That is what, if when I think about legacy and leadership, I think about education. And as Angie and Abe have shared with you, Emory has always been a central focus of who we are. And Mom always made sure that we knew the importance of education and the role that Emory would play in our lives. And it was just recently that she actually shared that she understood a lot about what was going on with generationally, why she started at Emory, and her life started to make a little bit more sense by watching Abe go here as a pipeline student and being able to join the School of Nursing, that her life really started to overall make sense. And she was just sharing this with us earlier this year, and it was just such a comforting, warm conversation that we all are so involved with Emory and how important Emory has been in the legacy of our family. And also just understanding culture and experiencing the experience of health and what that looks like within our nursing profession. One thing that many may not know about Mom and about us is that we're actually very strong in sports, and Mom played basketball in high school, and it actually got her to the next steps of going to school, going to college, as well as with us. We all received scholarships in sports and were able to move forward in our college experience as well. So we all have a collective foundation of being a part of a team, being a part of a tribal community that has sacrificed dearly for and given so much back to help us to get to where we are today. And we just look forward as a family, to unite and to be able to continue with our Emory family, to be able to prosper and to give back all the blessings like we have received. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for this time to share. And we hope that we were able to shed some light on legacy and what it means to us. Thank you.